So last but not least, we have Manish Chand, and I can see him now. He is a good friend, an extraordinary surgeon, and a leader. And he's going to talk about something that we really need, is simulation. Now it's more obvious than ever before. So he's going to speak about the future of simulation in surgical training. Manish, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julio. I hope you can, everyone can hear me. Thank you very much. My name is Manish Chand. I'm going to talk about the future of simulation in surgical training, which may be now more important than ever. So in my mind, when I think about simulation and where it fits in surgery, really there is a preoperative phase and there is an intraoperative phase. And I'm going to use minimally invasive surgery really here to punctuate this as an example. When we look at training initially, we've all seen this, and we see this very much as the entry level to minimally invasive surgical training. It's a rudimentary device, it's a box trainer, which the utility of which is arguable. I think certainly for novices, it teaches ergonomics, it teaches about triangulation, port placement, and basic levels of dexterity. But then we move on to courses such as this, so live animal operating, so we can try and understand what it's like to operate on a living, breathing being. And then probably more useful than this is the fresh frozen cadaver courses, where we can understand the anatomy more clearly as it's relevant to us as surgeons operating on human beings. But times have changed and things have improved. So we can begin to use virtual reality models, computerized models, where we immerse ourselves into that environment. And we can use additional headsets. So this is a virtual reality headset where you're immersed into the environment. The handpieces have haptic sensors, so you have feedback from different types of tissue. Here we can see examples of billiard balls, bricks, pieces of wood, and you'll be able to get different force from each of them. We've all seen something like this, which it comes with most of the training packs with the Da Vinci robot, but of course can be bought as a standalone device as well. And here, whilst we don't have tactile feedback, the visual acuity here that we would get and the fidelity of the actual model is so good that we're able to appreciate the deformable nature of the tissue. And it really gives us an understanding of how those specific instruments work. So that's the kind of simulation that we see pre-operatively for training. But then, of course, when it comes to planning, we've all seen things like this over the last 15, 20 years. Vascular surgeons have been very much using this for planning vascular operations. We have seen now more improvements of these models where we can take CT scan images and we segment those images, color code them, and then are able to produce more augmented reality, or in this case, a mixed reality model that can be used on the desktop for us to appreciate what a patient's anatomy may be, or perhaps even plan for surgery. So this is a model of how a patient's going to undergo a perineal procedure, and we can see in this model where the rectum is, where the prostate is, where the urethra is, where the bladder is, and it gives us a good idea to plan and rehearse. Intraoperatively, well, we can use these kind of models, but you can see the problem. You have a fixed model that you've created in a certain set of images, but when you move the tissue intraoperatively, this particular image doesn't move. So we need to create better mod form with the tissue, and this is the real challenge that we're having with simulation at the moment. This is another example of a model that we showed earlier, where you can then take it into theatre, and you can try and create the structure, but here you can overlay this and say, look, this is the rectum, behind it is the mesorectum there is the prostate, there is the urethra. And then this is another exciting development that has been used by the AIS team, and recently using 5G mobile technology, where you have the student at a remote distance, and it's part of this tele-mentoring, telestream equipment to draw on the screen and just teach at the same time as doing the operation. So you have Antonio down here at the bottom. He is doing his TATME operation, and then he has his trainee that's a participant in that operation. So to end, simulation in surgery. Is this the future? Well, what is simulation? It's a technique experience, and I think I must emphasize here that the purpose is to amplify, not to replace. We must still have our in-theatre training. Why do we need it? Increasingly complex interventions, less opportunities for trainees, and in a world with COVID, well, perhaps we need to start thinking about other ways of training. It may not necessarily be in theatre. Is it worthwhile? Well, I certainly think it is. Promotes dexterity, encourages video analysis, and it also provides. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Manish. Wonderful presentation. We have some issues with connection, but we could follow your presentation very nicely. So this is not the future. This is now. How we do roll this out in order to make a difference in people's training, to enhance training, not just as a substitute for training, to enhance the acquisition of the skills.
So my feeling is that this needs to be incorporated more formally into training programs. And at the moment, it's very ad hoc. And at the moment, what we find is that it is really very much on the onus of the surgeon and the trainee to go looking for these courses. I think a new curriculum would include this as part.
Sound is broken.
Training, not as a bonus, but if you happen to be in a new curriculum itself, and that way, if need be, you centralize services to allow that training to take place. It cannot be a optional thing anymore or a bonus thing. It very much needs to be.
We lose you.
Oh, sorry, I think so. I was saying that it very much needs to be embedded within the curriculum.
Okay. Yes. Now we can hear you. When do you foresee this would be incorporated in the curriculum? How long it will take?
Sorry, Julio. I think I just lost you. I think my connection just dropped out for a second.
Yeah. How long did you? How long did you think it will take to be implemented? This technology could be implemented.
So this technology, although we discussed and we're talking about the future of simulation, this technology is here. And I think we're going to see this embraced by the various societies, SAGES, EAES, ASSET, Global Surge. So all of the big societies now, I think, are embracing this type of view that we need simulation more embedded in the curriculum. So I think we're going to see some big changes over the next 5 years. This is not something that is coming 10, 15 years down the line. This is something that's here now, and I think coming very shortly to a center near you. So
next 5 years, we will see a change at the implementation of the technology. 5 years. 5 years. Perfect. Any questions?
So one minor question, Manish. A great talk. The question is that this is great, and probably in the 5 coming years we're going to see that. But don't you think this is going to increase the gap between countries, hospitals? Not everybody can afford. Not every system can afford this technology, right? So the question is, we're trying to implement teaching programs to decrease the gap between countries. We were talking about DRASA before. and now this is going to create a biggest hole, the biggest space between us. It's like the robot, right? It's so expensive that not everybody can use the robot, for example. So how do you think we can, what we can do in order to, in the coming 5 years, to make this technology available for other systems, for more people, right?
Thank you, Carlos. So firstly, there are a few technologies that I showed.
We've lost you.
At the preoperative source, sorry, Julio. This can be used with open source software, and and this is not something that costs any money. So open source is something a young surgeon can do. My MSc students that learn this over a period of about 2 weeks or so are able to do this very much themselves with open source software. So a lot of these products are now becoming free to use. The simulators, yes, the haptic simulators are getting to cost. So that's why I was saying perhaps there needs to be centralization of some of these training within a country. So if your particular unit doesn't have it, then maybe once a month, trainees go to a centralized unit, and then that's coordinated by a national training center. And when I showed the equipment that we've used with Antonio before, where you have tele-mentoring and telestration, well, this again is becoming cheaper through market forces, because when there was only one product on the market, it's more expensive. Now there are 3, 4, 5 of these type of products. It becomes cheaper and cheaper and much less bulkier, where it's simply you open your laptop, switch on a small machine, a small receiver, and you're able then to participate. So I think market forces will help, but yes, it is on us to try and ask our societies, whether they be national or regional, to be involved and invest in this, because I think the ways of teaching now are changing, and we must move with those. And I think coronavirus has shown us as well that we have to be very innovative in the way that we decide to move forward on many things, including surgical education.